Just because somebody strongly believes something, even if they get the majority to believe it, doesn't make it true. Even if they get the majority to believe it by force, like the Muslims do. You don't believe in Allah? Next. They're required to cut off their head or kill them if they don't believe like they believe. 109 times in the Quran. Seconds of the best.
Hello and welcome to Resisted Grace. My name is Aron Ra, former pastor, Bible-believing preacher. I'm going to be taking a Kent Hovind video today and making some comments on that live. I'm going to hope to do this in one take, so please bear with me. Kent Hovind has released a video in response to his back and forth debate with Aron Ra. It is quite humorous. I'm going to point out a couple of things. One, where Kent either lies or misrepresents the facts, and two, the places where Kent is completely off base, to say the least. So, without further ado, let's place Kent right, let's see, here, and we'll go from there. Here we go.
Three evidences. I demolished in my 7-video response many months ago. It took me nearly 5 hours to go through his 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and I think I answered it very.
So here Kent says he demolished Aron Ra. I watched it. I watched every episode of the back and forth debate. I can confidently say that Aron Ra demolished Kent Hovind, not only in this debate, but on the debate on the Non Sequitur show. Kent has yet to answer the phylogeny challenge that Aron Ra has put out. Now, for the rest of the video, I'm not going to comment on the Aron Ra parts. I'm sure that Aron can speak for himself and demolish Kent. So here we go.
Very thorough. Two, you don't get it. So this response is aimed at those who really want the truth and are not committed to their silly religion of evolutionism, and evolution is a religion.
So this is a pet peeve of mine. Evolutionism is not a word. Evolutionism is a term that has been used by creationists recently to disparage or to try to provide a false equivocation to say that evolution is a religion. And evolution is not a religion. Evolution is an observation of observable facts, and it's a theory to describe the facts that have been observed. The fact that evolution happens is without a doubt. There is nothing that anyone can say or anyone can show that evolution does not happen. It is a fact. The amount of evidence is overwhelming. The model that describes the facts that are observed is called the theory of evolution. It is as much a fact as any other theory, as you've probably heard on many occasions. The theory of gravity, it's a fact. The theory of the atomic theory, fact. The cell theory, fact. Theory of evolution, fact. No doubt about
it. In every sense of the word. Religion, a belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods. In the case of the evolutionist, this controlling power is the evolution itself. That's a controlling power, a motivation to get stronger, better,
evolutionist
changes,
is
mutations.
Not a word.
Yeah, that's a controlling.
So there is no controlling power evolution. Scientists and people who are aspiring to be scientists, as myself, I am working on a degree in molecular biology and hope to get my master's in that subject. We do not have an authority. Christians have an authority. Bible-believing Christians have an authority. And that is the Bible or Revelation or whatever they want to call it, but we do not appeal to authority. Kent can't understand this because his life has been spent appealing to authority. I would say that I was also at a place in my life at one point where the Bible was my authority, and if the Bible said the sky was orange, I would believe it was orange. I wouldn't believe my eyes. The Bible was the authority. So young earth creationists have a hard time understanding that we as scientists or scientists in general do not have an authority to appeal to.
Power. It's a particular system of faith, and you have enormous faith. The word evolution has 6 different meanings. 5 of them are religious, and we're going to cover that again, even though you guys can't stand it.
So evolution does not have 6 different meanings. This is a lie that Kent has been saying for a long time, even though he's been corrected on many occasions. Cosmic evolution, which he's getting ready to speak to, is an entirely different subject that's not related to biological evolution. If the subject of this video is biological evolution, then what he's bringing up here is a non sequitur, red herring, whatever you want to call it. You could just as well bring up at this point the evolution of fashion over the last 50 years, or the evolution of the automobile over the last 50 years. That is just as irrelevant as this right here. All right, so let's move forward.
When I do this, cosmic evolution, the origin of time, space, and matter, the Big Bang. That is a religious view. There's nothing scientific about it.
That is not a religious view, and there is a scientific basis behind it. I'm not a physicist, but I know enough about it to know that the evidence supporting the Big Bang Theory is also overwhelming. Yes, there are things that we don't know, but over time, we accumulate knowledge, Kent. We're not stuck 2,000 years ago in a field herding goats, reading a 2,000-year-old book. We have accumulated knowledge over the last several hundred years about physics and about astronomy and about the way our universe works, and there is a growing body of scientific evidence supporting the Big Bang. Now, say what you want about that, but for Kent to say there's no scientific basis for that is an absolute falsehood. Now, I tend to think that Kent is just lying. As I mentioned, I used to be a Bible-believing Christian, and I was ignorant of some things. And perhaps I, straight out deceived and lied to people about things. I'm sure that I did. But there was a time when I was ignorant about things. But when I compared reality with the things in the Bible and found that they did not match, I followed reality and the truth of science versus the writings of unhinged goat herders 2,000 years ago. So yes, Kent, there is a growing body of scientific evidence surrounding the Big Bang Theory.
I do too. Okay. The Bible says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. In 6 days, the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is. God is claiming He did it, and He did it all in 6 days. That's what He's claiming. Now, you guys don't like that, I know. Too bad, okay? Can a universe create itself out of nothing? No, okay? Stephen Hawking says the universe is not created by God. Well, Stephen Hawking knows better now, doesn't he?
So can the universe create itself out of nothing? This is a straw man, because no one believes that the universe created itself. Nor does anyone claim to know what nothing is. Lawrence Krauss has some comments on universe from nothing, but his nothing is not the same as Kent's nothing, that's for sure. So are you telling me, Kent, that scientists today, standing on the shoulders of giants with accumulated human knowledge, is that your book written by primitives 2,000 years ago has more information than they do? I think not. I think not.
He's already met him. Okay. You cannot know that any of this is true. You have to believe it's true. The Big Bang is part of evolution.
Kent should not even be speaking about Stephen
It's a religion that some people believe in, and they believe in it very strongly. The current universe came into existence 14 billion years ago through an explosion, the Big Bang, from an infinitely dense point.
So one, I know this is very pedantic, it's not an explosion, it's an expansion. And yes, Kent, we think that physicists are smarter than you are and smarter than your book. So yeah, we do.
I think the infinitely dense point is between the ears of those who believe this nonsense. That is infinitely dense to believe the whole universe could fit into a dot. Think about that for 5 minutes. Or 5 seconds. It's dumb. Big Bang Theory is dumb.
So if there ever was an argument from incredulity, this is the argument from incredulity. Kent Hovind does not understand physics. And let me address something while we're on the subject of Kent Hovind not understanding physics. Kent has been saying for years that he either taught high school mathematics, high school physics, high school biology, high school English, high school astronomy, you name it. Kent has said he has taught it for 15 years. I'm here to tell you that he never did any such thing. And what I mean by that is when I was a pastor of a church, we started a Christian school for the children that were in our church. I was a teacher. I wasn't accredited. I had no educational credentials other than Bible college to teach children about physics or astronomy or biology. I don't go around saying I taught high school for 10 years because I didn't. I taught at a church school along with some other housewives and mothers who also had no credentials and didn't know anything about the subject matter in which they were teaching. Kent, you did not teach high school in the sense that the world recognizes a teacher is supposed to do. You taught in a church school with no accreditation and no credentials. And the kids that come out of those church schools are not equipped to take on reality and fail a lot of times in college.
It's retarded. It's religious. You believe in it. Big Bang, big claim. Why this bold idea is right. I downloaded today. Okay. What is the Big Bang Theory? It's the leading explanation. Oh, so it's something you believe in. Cosmologists believe the Big Bang. Oh, so it's something you believe in. It's a religion. Yes.
Kent is lying right here. And if you look at the screen, you can tell he's lying because he is quote mining from the very words that he puts on the screen. That's not what it says at all. It says, I have to get a little bit closer here. Cosmologists believe the Big Bang Theory flung energy in all directions. That's what the statement says. It does not say they believe the Big Bang Theory. In fact, in the next segment, I'm going to prove to you that Ken Hovind is lying to you, and he has the words on the screen right here to prove that he's lying. Let's take a look.
Yes, it is. Most scientists think everything came from a Big Bang. It's a religion. Scientists don't believe in the Big Bang. They conclude it based upon the full suite of observations. This is ludicrous, okay? Tell all those folks at Forbes, whoever did this, I'll debate them all. Half my brain tied behind.
So what is it, Kent? Do they believe evolution or they conclude? Do they believe in the Big Bang Theory or do they conclude that the Big Bang Theory occurred based on observable evidence? The statement you just read proves that your previous statement was a lie. I don't even know how to address this beyond that. Scientists observe reality and they make observations, they develop hypotheses, and they conclude the Big Bang Theory is the best model that describes our current universe and how it came to be. Kent, you need to get this straight.
Behind my back.
So Kent's going to do this with half his brain tied behind his back. Let's take a look at that.
July 24th.
Oh, it is June. I keep putting the 7 on there, don't I? It's June. Change all those in your mind. Ready? 7. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This is a belief system. This is not part of science. You can believe it all you want, but it's not part of science. A gravitational singularity is a one-dimensional point. That is stupid at many levels. There's no such thing as a one-dimensional point. You can't even imagine that. It's constant.
I'm not sure where he got this quote. I didn't look it up, but this is another argument from incredulity. Kent can't understand it because his IQ is obviously too low. So therefore, it must not be true, and the 2,000-year-old book must be true. You see, how much sense does this make? None.
How big was the Big Bang? From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, the singularity was a singularity of seemingly infinitely dense, thought to have contained all the mass and space-time of the universe. Don't forget, it had all the heat also. What's the total heat of all the stars? Wow. All in one dot. Who held that thing, huh? Yeah, okay.
So, Kent, you've never heard of E equals MC squared? I'm not a physicist. I've heard of that. Seriously, Kent. You don't understand it, so therefore it must not be true? You mean it doesn't agree with God creating the universe in 6 days? This is insane. This is insane. You know, I have a lot of regrets about teaching this particular doctrine to not only my children, but the members of my church. And I'm glad that I was able to get out of it.
Okay. Someone said if you took a cube of salt, a salt crystal out of your salt shaker, and could swell it up to the size of the Empire State Building in height.
So I thought I'd stop here. Another funny quip, because this is Kent with his brain, half of his brain tied behind his back. Height is not a word, Kent. For someone who taught high school English for 15 years, you should know that height is not a word. Height, Kent, height.
This is religious. So when I say the evolution theory is religion, I am correct. It is something you believe in. It is not something you can demonstrate scientifically. I am correct.
You are not correct, Kent. You're not correct. It can be demonstrated scientifically, and it has been demonstrated scientifically.
Correct, okay. How did the Big Bang start? The first subatomic particles to be formed included protons, neutrons, and electrons, though simple atomic nuclei formed within the first 3 minutes after the Big Bang. This is, how could you possibly know such?
Kent, I thought you taught math for 15 years in high school to high school students. You don't know that the way to figure this out is math?
Such a thing. Secondly, there'd have to be chemical evolution. If the Big Bang theory is true, it only would have produced hydrogen and maybe some helium or lithium or deuterium.
So chemical evolution is also not relevant to this conversation. This is a conversation about biological evolution. Kent, Aron Ra is a student of biology.
Well, how do you get 92 elements? How do you get gold, silver, and platinum out of hydrogen gas? I would like to learn how to do that. They'll say, well, fusion, you can fuse them in stars. You can't fuse past iron without enormous input of energy. And where's this energy
coming? I
come?
don't think you can learn. Kent, have you ever heard of a supernova? Again, I'm not a physicist. I don't know. But that's what I hear, is that supernovas are the furnaces on which all of these elements are created. Or they are the furnaces in which all of these elements are created.
From. Thirdly, stellar and planetary evolution. Nobody's ever seen a star or a planet form.
Another
Never.
lie coming. Really, Kent, a brief Google search brought this up. Look, Kent. How long are you going to say they've never seen a star form? Astronomers observed the birth of a massive star in the Milky Way. This is in our neighborhood, Kent, and somehow you don't know about it.
Yes, sir.
How do they know that they're like balls of fusion?
Most of it's based on observing our sun.
Right.
Because if you get the biggest telescope in the world and look at the closest star, Alpha Centauri in the Proxima Centauri group, all you're going to see is a dot. The more you zoom in, the more it stays the same.
They can't measure any heat.
They can measure the color of their star. The color is all they get. From that, they guess all sorts of things. Beetle.
So Kent is lying again. I don't know how many times he lies in this video, but I suppose Kent has never heard of spectroscopy. I'm sure that he has. He has to have known this. I know about it. I'm not a physicist. Kent, I used to be a Baptist preacher. I know about spectroscopy. How come you don't? I'm sure that you do, and you're just covering it up as you do cover up everything else that you're talking about.
Belief. Organic evolution, the origin of life. New theory on the organic evolution from nature.com. Organic evolution, just Google it. It is definitely a part of somewhere, somehow, life has to get started from non-living material. Nobody knows how a mixture of lifeless chemicals spontaneously organize themselves into the first
So this quote he's got, I didn't check to see if it was valid or not, but it's from 2003, number one. Number two, knowledge is growing in this area very rapidly. What is Kent going to do when we do figure out how the molecules of life formed into a self-replicating molecule, RNA perhaps? What's Kent going to say then? Is he going to give up his God and say, now we know how life was started? I highly doubt it. Highly doubt it.
Cell. It's important to keep in mind that they'll say Hovind doesn't understand what evolution is. I'm reading from your guys' hero.
No, Kent, you don't understand what evolution is. And I think you willingly don't understand what evolution is. I would be charitable and say you were ignorant about the subject, but I've watched too many debates where you've been corrected to know that you're not ignorant about the subject. You're just flat out deceitful about the subject. A huckster at best. A huckster at best. We don't have heroes. We meaning aspiring scientists as myself, or scientists that live in today's world or in the previous past generations, do not have heroes in the sense that you think a hero exists like the Bible is some authority, or Jesus is some authority, or God is some authority. We do not have that. We have people that we respect. We have people that are more knowledgeable than us. We have people that, as it's been said, we stand on the shoulders of giants, but they're not heroes in the sense that some Bible-believing Christian thinks they are in some authority. They're not. Ridiculous.
Macroevolution is a religious.
So macroevolution, I know that there are some scientists that use macroevolution versus microevolution. I don't like the word. I don't like to make the distinction between macro and microevolution. It is all one process. Evolution is the change in allele frequencies over time within a population, not an individual. That produces both microevolution in the short time frame and macroevolution in a long time frame. So they are one process. Kent wants to make them two, but he only wants to make them two because it fits his narrative better.
Belief. There are 339 recognized breeds of dogs in the world today. They probably had a common ancestor called a dog.
Kent, we all know you can't get a dog from a non-dog. I just left in this for fun. You can never tire of Kent bringing the dog example up.
Dog. The Bible says they bring forth after their kind. And they're the same kind of animal. And a 4-year-old knows that.
No such thing as a kind.
But Darwin wrote a book called Origin of Species.
So Kent just moved the goalpost right in front of your eyes. He said God created them after their kind. And then he said Charles Darwin wrote The Origin of Species. Now Kent, which one is it? You've got to get your story straight, my man.
So origin of life, organic evolution, macroevolution is all part of a religion. You guys believe in it. Now
No,
microevolution, variation within the kinds, this is science. We shouldn't call it microevolution. It confuses people.
It doesn't confuse me, and it didn't confuse me when I was a Bible-believing pastor. I knew what it was. I just chose to not believe it. I chose not to accept it because I wanted to believe some fairy tale written 2,000 years ago versus the facts that were in front of my face. Kent, you're trying to confuse your own following in a way that is deceitful again.
It's a variation. The central question of the Chicago Conference was whether mechanisms underlying microevolution can be extrapolated to explain the phenomena of macroevolution. The answer can be given as a clear no.
So I put the quote, the actual quote, right down below so that you can see where Kent lies right on the screen. Now, it didn't take me very long to find this quote. Kent has clearly quote mined this, and he probably knows he quote mined this, and he knows it's inaccurate. So just take a look at the quote right down there.
No. Can you show me a beneficial mutation that would take over the population? You got to get two at the same time of the opposite sex in the same place.
Really, Kent? The green anole in Florida grew larger foot pads and an extra scale on its foot so that it could live higher up in the trees to escape the cats in 10 years. So we didn't need a male and a female with that one mutation. We needed a single mutation that was advantageous. That mutation was passed along to the offspring, and it moved to fixation within the population until the population had evolved the ability to live higher up in the trees. Ken, I think you need to do a couple of things here. First, look up the Hardy-Weinberg equation. Second, learn how to calculate the fixation of an allele within a population. I think it would help you immensely. You know, you would get to the point where you might even begin to understand some of the concepts of evolution and some of the facts surrounding it.
What if the male evolved 30 years before the female? Oh, I just missed it. Yeah. The gene pool of the new variety is more limited and less able to adapt to future changes. Chihuahuas cannot produce Great Danes. How long would the Chihuahuas last in the real world? Turn them loose in the woods. He'd run up to the wolf. Yep, 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 yep.
Again, red herring. What do you mean they'll be more limited and unable to compete? Have you never heard of point mutations, frameshift mutations, gene duplication, chromosome duplication? So if a chromosome is duplicated and you end up with an entirely new chromosome, wouldn't that make you more able to adapt to your environment and more able to compete? Kent, these things have been shown to you before. Are you lying again? Are you using an example that has no relevance to lie to the people in the room? Is that what's happening?
Yep. Go ahead, make my day. Yeah, okay. There's varieties of corn. I grew up in Illinois, corn country. There's hundreds of varieties of corn, and they might have had a common ancestor.
Really, Kent? Corn had a common ancestor? Go figure. You want to know something, Kent? It wasn't corn. And I know you've been told this before, because I've heard it been told to you before. So you're lying again in this slide as well. You know good and well that the common ancestors of corn is grass. See picture I just added.
Corn. Not to get a mosquito and a whale from a common ancestor, that would be evolution.
Okay, Kent, you finally got it right. Mosquitoes and whales have a common ancestor. And it was a eukaryote. How about that? Maybe we should just leave this one segment in, and this could be your entire video, and you would finally get it right. Strange days.
Yes, sir.
When I was in class, they asked me, are humans still evolving? Or do you think humans are still evolving?
What a trick question. Do you think humans are still evolving?
It's only a trick question to Kent. But yes, humans are still evolving. There are some recent studies about cholesterol and how humans are evolving in that area. Of course, we know about sickle cell anemia and the heterozygote advantageous allele for that. The heterozygous advantageous allele. So humans are evolving, not in the same way that animals have evolved in the past, or even human ancestors evolved in the past, because we have things like grocery stores down the street, or hospitals, or doctors, and medicine, and drugs that help us to stay healthy or to correct things that go wrong. So yes, humans are evolving, not in the same way as they used to evolve.
What is the built-in assumption in the question? That they did evolve. How's a kid supposed to answer that? It's like asking them, why are elephants orange? Teacher, I don't know how to answer that question. They're not orange. Do I think they're still evolving? I don't think they evolved to begin with. But the poor kids have to do this on tests.
This was priceless. I had to leave this in here. So Kent Hovind, the definition of Dunning-Kruger is accusing Aron Ra of having the Dunning-Kruger effect. This is priceless. You can't get something better than this.
Dunning-Kruger effect, a cognitive bias in which people mistakenly assess their cognitive ability as greater than it is. I will not accept creation philosophically because I do not want to believe in God. Therefore, I choose to know.
So I couldn't find this quote exactly, but I found something close to it from this gentleman, and it's not anything like what Kent just said. So I'm assuming he quote mined this as well, which means he's being deceitful. I won't go so far as to say this was a lie because I couldn't find the quote, but I did find enough information to know that it wasn't valid. So that brings us to the end of this video. This is Resisted Grace. Please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to get notifications. I am brand new to YouTube. I am learning. I hope that I'll get better and that the videos will get much more interesting. But I did want to bring out this video because it was very humorous. I was watching it and my jaw fell on the floor. I kind of made fun of him at the beginning. So please join me next time when we debunk another one of my own sermons. See ya. Have a good day.
Choose to